Summer solstice, the time when everything in your garden starts to bloom. And now pagans tend to celebrate on the 21st, however it can vary on occasion, not often but it can, depending on the tilt of the earth. And celebrations can take place sunrise to sunset. And what we also find is that for the 3 days following the solstice, the sunrise and sunset times vary by a minute. Well, by a minute or two each day, and you will notice that pattern. And the solstice energies build for a few days before and also stick around for a few days afterwards. We usually say 3 days before, 3 days after, just as a good standard rule. I think we just like the number 3. But this means if you're busy on the actual solstice, you don't have to worry. You can still celebrate, and it doesn't have to be anything big or extravagant. It can be as simple as lighting a candle. And after the 3rd day following the solstice, you may not notice, but our days actually start to get shorter. And our nights start to get longer. And according to official sources, our solstice this year falls on the 21st at 9:08 p.m. So, why is the time significant? Just showing off my St. John's wort. So, why is the time more significant? Well, at the solstice, that is when we are tilted towards the sun the most in the northern hemisphere. As you probably know, the earth rotates on its axis once a day, so a 24-hour cycle, whilst also moving around the sun, which takes a year, 365 days. And obviously, as we face the sun at different times, we get different seasons, different weather, and we get our days and nights at different times. And just in case you didn't know, we have a tilt of around 23 degrees. So during one half of the year, we tilt towards the sun, and during the other half of the year, we don't. And this is why the Celts split the year into 2, and we have the dark half and the light half. And many don't realise that the solstice actually marks us turning into the dark half. That transition again. So the exact minute that we're most tilted towards the sun is when we celebrate solstice. And in the northern hemisphere, they will be celebrating Yule, or the winter solstice. But did you know that on the solstice the sun actually heats up the oceans? It just takes a few days for it to get to the right temperature for us to notice it. And the meteorological summer starts at the beginning of June and ends towards the end of August, usually the last day of August. Whereas the astrological summer marks our tilt towards the sun. But did you know the word solstice actually comes from the Greek word solstism? And this translates to the sun stands still. And the solstice gets celebrated across many different cultures, right the way through history to the modern day, and they all have varying practices and traditions. It's also believed that the veil is at its thinnest, which is where this little friend comes in, because it's St. John's wort. And the solstice is the perfect time for energy working. It's a big transition. It's about joy, abundance, and seizing the moment. So how are you celebrating the solstice this year?